All right, good morning. This is Roy with Fixed Right and Guaranteed. The purpose of this video today, got Dwarren and Wyatt that we're going to join here in just a minute, performing a duct cleaning at this house today. But more so than just even showing you like how a duct cleaning is done, is there's so many scam artists out there, especially in the duct cleaning industry. I wanted to create this video not as much to try to get us duct cleaning work, but more so just to show you how is a duct cleaning done the right way, and if ultimately that has you call us and not fall for some of the gimmicks out there, that's great. But I just see so many things, especially on Facebook with some of these groups, where somebody will say unlimited vents, $99, PM me for details. I mean, there's just all these things that just wave red flags. So we've checked into a couple of these companies, and I want to share a couple things we found, and then ultimately we're going to do kind of a time lapse throughout this process, and obviously we'll condense it so you don't have to watch a 3.5 to 5 hour video, but we'll condense it down to probably, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes or whatever it may be. But a couple things just to kind of give you some things you can ask on the front end or just be wary of. Number one, there's really two different ways of performing a duct cleaning. There's what's called a point of contact method, and then you have the negative air machine. My personal opinion, and a lot of people agree with me on this, the negative air machine really is the only way of doing it properly. A point of contact method, it would be great for me as a business owner because one guy can run this machine, it's very convenient. So you've got these guys that buy this point of contact method or machine, which is literally just a shop vac with a brush on it. And when you see these ads for like unlimited vents, well, let me tell you first of all what they do. They'll go through, they fish this glorified shop vac down the registers, and it's just the branch line. So they'll go through and clean out all the registers. Well, they're not even going into the trunk line. That's extra if you want them to do the trunk line. So that's kind of the equivalent of taking a shower, washing your arms and legs, and calling that a shower. It's ludicrous. But that's what these unlimited vent specials you see, that's exactly what they're doing. So with a negative air machine, we literally hook it up at the air handler, and you'll see that here in a little bit. You have to isolate the system, so you separate the supply side from the return side, and you start at the farthest point away from the unit. So you go through each and every register, but then you also go through every trunk line. So as you have a negative air machine pulling from one end, and then we're brushing and blowing from the opposite end. So as things are getting stirred up inside the duct system, it's getting pulled out into our negative air machine. Nothing goes into the home, it all gets pulled into the negative air machine. And we're going to show you some brand new filters and exactly the before and after. So we're going to make sure you have a very detailed version of how this is done properly. But as you get everything pushed into the trunk line from all the branch lines, well, then you'll go into the trunk line itself and then end up pushing that to the machine. So we start on the return side first, and then we'll switch everything over. Then we'll do the supply side. It's very much the same process. But to do the job the right way, it takes 3.5 to 5 hours to do the average house. So when I hear about these companies going in for an hour, hour and a half, one person, they did not do the job the right way. I don't care what anybody says, you cannot do the job the right way in an hour to hour and a half's time with a point of contact method. It just doesn't happen. So let me kind of show you the machine that I'm talking about with the negative air machine, and we're going to show you that we're even going to use brand new filters. All right, first of all, can you see Corey? First, let me introduce the master duct cleaners here. We've got Dwarren Beverly, and Wyatt Powell. Both do a phenomenal job. Great guys, very thorough in what they do. So, but it all starts with having a machine that can do the job the right way, and then technicians who actually care enough to do the job the right way. So this is, again, a negative air machine. This machine will pull probably about 4,000 CFMs of air, which is, it's an incredible amount. An average system, let's say you have a 3-ton system in your house, that'll move 1,200 CFM. So this will basically pull 3.5 times what your air conditioning system can blow, and that's what again you really need. Where a point of contact method, maybe that machine's moving 1,000 CFMs of air, less than what the heat pump is pulling. But nonetheless, so we've got some brand new filters here. You want to go ahead and grab those and put the brand new filters in. So these are some filters that we've used on previous jobs, but I wanted to start with a brand new filter so that at the end of the job we're actually going to take the air compressor and blow some air through there, and you'll actually be able to see kind of a cloud of dust of how much dust and debris actually comes out of the duct system, because ultimately that's what your family's breathing. Is when people say, oh, duct cleaning doesn't help, well, I beg to differ. Matter of fact, we can prove that it does help, not only by the video that we're going to do with the cleaning out the filter, but even something called static pressure, and I'm not going to go too deep into this one, but static pressure is how you measure airflow, so it's the equivalent of blood pressure for us. So we'll even show, before we do the duct cleaning here, we'll do a before of the static pressure before we do the job, and then at the end we'll show what the static pressure is, because just removing that dust and debris off the walls of the duct system, well, that eliminates the friction, so as that air travels through across that metal, well, dust actually slows that down. So it may not be hugely significant, but over time, and with a dirtier duct system, it really can be. So static pressure, again, is a really important thing. So just like we want to keep our blood pressure low so we don't have heart issues, keeping static pressure in check is really important for the longevity of a compressor and fan motor. So it's just like an added benefit, but it's more so having air traveling through the duct system that's healthy for you and your family to breathe, because ultimately all the air you breathe in your house is traveling through the duct system. So as the guys are getting the new filters put in the machine, one last point I'll just make is to really why I got back in the duct cleaning business in the first place. Primarily, we're a heating and air conditioning company. Duct cleanings are just something we do, as a benefit for our clients, so they don't have to have these scam artists come in their home and take advantage of them, because we've done a great job of building trust with our clients, and they know we're going to take care of them. And two things about that. Number one, we're actually licensed to be working on the units where these duct cleaning guys that are not licensed in HVAC, well, part of duct cleaning is actually cleaning the inside of the air handler as well. Well, they're not licensed to do that, so a lot of them, probably 90% of them, are working illegally, number one. Number two, the reason I got back into it in the first place, I had a company that I sold back in 2005, and we were doing duct cleanings in that company. Well, when I started this company back in 2009, at first I wasn't doing duct cleanings, just where I was in life. I wanted to be coaching my kids' teams, so I was just kind of content to just do heating and air only. But what happened was a very good client of mine had one of these scam artist duct cleaning companies unfortunately come into her home and took like $800 of her money. It was there an hour and a half. She called me and just felt, that she'd been taken advantage of. So I went over, went through the duct system, and she was 100% right. Like, it didn't look like they'd even done a thing. So I made the decision that day, like, you know what, I'm getting back into duct cleaning it for no other reason, just to keep our clients from being taken advantage of. So that's really the whole reason we got back into it in the first place, was to try to take good care of our clients.
We're going to take our static pressure test, just to kind of give us a difference before and after the duct cleaning. You may have heard Roy explain before, static pressure is similar or comparable to the blood pressure of your system. So I'm going to make 2 entry points for our manometer, which is the device that we use to measure static pressure. I'm going to make one hole at the return, and then one at the supply. So I'll take a full bit. Take one here at the supply.
All right, so this is the manometer that we use to test the static. So what I'm going to do, you see right now, it's actually reading like a 0.13. So we got to make sure we zero that. So we're starting, at zero, obviously. So zero it out. Okay, so we're at zero now. There you go, Warren.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead and Warren, put them in, and I'll bring it close to where you can actually see the reading.
There are arrows on each of these probes. So I want to make sure that wherever I place it, the arrow is pointing in the direction of the airflow to measure that. Perfect.
All right, so our total external static is basically a 0.35, so it's the bottom number. The top number is just reading one of the 2 probes, and then if you switch that over, so let's see, which one is which here?
This is
we
your
are
supply.
P2, P2 is the supply. So our supply is reading a .07, and the return is reading a .28. So, but anyway, a .34, .35 is our total. So we'll see what it ends up with at the end of the duct cleaning.
I'll just make a hole in the duct about the size of this flange. This is the 12-inch flange. So I'll just come to the side of the duct. I'll just take the hose, the same diameter, 12 inches in diameter. I'm going to attach one end of this hose to the flange, attach the other. I'm going to go up and seal each of the vents to make sure that this vacuum has the maximum amount of pull that it has. I'm going to go ahead and seal up, take this adhesive tape, seal up the return for the moment. We do the same thing to the supplies, and in this instance all the supplies are on the floor. I'm going to go ahead and take this filter out. And what I'll do is I'll put tape or even a trash bag over top of it to give the vacuum more pressure. Take this straight out. Now we can start the vacuum up one at a time. The next component of our duct cleaning, now that we've had our vacuum set up, we're going to follow the vacuum that's pulling with compressed air. So my associate Wyatt here has these compressor hoses lined up from the compressor itself all the way to our return, which is where we'll be starting, and then from there we'll take compressed air through each vent to make sure that each branch line is cleaned thoroughly. Alright, so Wyatt's finished vacuuming out like all the surface dust. Now it's time to get really detailed with it. So there are a few components. This thing with all these tendrils on it will whip the dust around inside of the duct. And this is called a duct guide ball. It's going to help this compressor hose not to get stuck. So we're going to follow this with compressed air, and you'll see the difference after we're done. Alright, go for it. Alright, so now that we have the primary chase cleaned, all that dust does is it just settles right back down into the bottom of the return at the air handler. So we'll take our hoses down to the air handler itself, and we'll clean out the entire return duct. So now that the duct is clean, I'm going to go ahead and take this flange off and patch up the holes that we made. Alright, so for the supplies, we're going to start from the farthest supply away from the unit and work our way towards the unit. So, Okay, go ahead. So now that we're finished the duct cleaning, we're going to compare our static pressure before and after. So I'm going to go ahead and zero out my manometer. All right, so I think at the beginning of this, our static pressure was at 0.35. Now it's between 0.29 and 0.3. So right there you can see the lower number. So it did make a difference, a small difference, but enough of a difference to help that airflow move right along. So we're good. Now that we're done, you can kind of come in here and take a look at our filter that was once pure white. And this is what we pulled out of it. Set that off to the side. Kind of see Ethan shaking that out. And now we'll remove the second filter. Take a look inside there. It may not look like much, but we'll take some compressed air. That's what they were breathing in. So,
Are we ready?